Jimmy,
How's things?
I'm good.
How
How
are
are
you,
you?
James?
Oh,
I'm good, mate.
yeah.
Yeah,
Good. Yeah.
all good in the hood.
Yeah, it's all right, mate. You know,
Yeah.
getting to the season now in there.
Ooh, mate, I bought one present. And that was for me. Only joking. No, I bought one present. So yeah, I got a lot of.
Right. You like
I'm
playing it
relying on
nice?
Amazon. I'm
Yeah.
relying on Amazon Prime. I'm telling you.
I mean, aren't we all now? Aren't we all really?
Exactly. I know. I should have put shades in them a long time ago. But yes. So you're nearly ready. You're almost there. Then you kind of you bought your turkey.
Not really. I mean, you know, again, we're kids. They make it all Christmassy, don't they? So
Yeah.
somewhere behind me here is the Christmas decoration. So I'll be digging them out on the weekends. Normally, I have a strict December rule, but because 2020 has been so shit, I'm actually breaking it by about 3 or 4 days and allowing the kids to decorate on the weekend before December. So, you know, hey.
I actually didn't put any. Last year, I put no
I
decorations.
know. I was in your house last year, mate. I remember.
Yeah,
I think
none.
you forcing you to wear a Christmas T-shirt or whatever was the closest we got to Christmas in the Morrissey household. Yeah.
I didn't put up anything. So, and I don't think I put anything this year either, to be honest. So,
well, we do
that's
have a
how I
Christmas
roll.
special coming with an
Yes.
extra special guest who we won't mention. But you know,
it's a mystery.
It wouldn't be Christmas without him or her. I'll leave it at that. There we go. So something, you know, it's our favourite little elf.
Yeah.
So, at some point, we'll be dropping the Christmas episode before Christmas, hopefully.
Yes.
And we've got a corker. It's going to be a struggle, as I said to Jim. Normally, obviously, this is about us recommending shows, movies to Blu-ray companies. This one, 50-50. I mean, I think they'll make money on it. I don't necessarily think it's a good film. So, yeah.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. You really pimped it out. Yeah.
There we go. And through the magic of editing, I'm now going to go back to the beginning and do the spiel. Oh, no, fuck it. We'll just dig it in. We'll wing it. We'll just, So, sorry, guys. I mean, that was a bit of waffle. But here we go. Welcome to the Mad Science Films channel. I'm James Plum, filmmaker, sexual astronaut. And as ever, I'm joined by my chiseled co-host.
Chiseled, nice. I should write all these down. Yes, James Morrissey, another filmmaker and failed sexual astronaut.
Are you sticking with that one then, is there?
I might as well, man. I can't think of anything else.
Just lazy. Honestly,
If
you've
anybody,
got somebody else choosing your films for you, and now you can't even be bothered to pick your own nickname. I mean, come on.
Also, this isn't my voice, so I'm being dubbed right now.
W in post, yeah. There we
By
go.
some Cardiffian from a council estate. Yeah, did a cracking job.
Oh, beautiful.
All right. What's
As
on
per
today's show, then, Jim?
previous weeks, we're going to be campaigning
Yes.
for a forgotten masterpiece that we've plucked from Oblivion. And we're going to be campaigning for this film to be given the Blu-ray treatment. So this week was my choice. And I decided to go with 1987's Drifting Classroom, directed by Nobuhiko Obayashi. I'm fairly sure that's how it's pronounced. So I'll give a quick synopsis for those of you who haven't seen the film, which I'm sure everybody's seen this movie, of course. So, an entire Japanese international grade school and all within are mysteriously transported to a foreboding desert wasteland. As the story unfolds, the diminishing student body weathers this apocalyptic crisis while searching for clues about their surroundings and dealing with the psychological breakdown and dangerous exterior forces. I didn't write that. I just stole it off IMDb, but it was pretty good. I thought that worked. There we go.
Yeah.
So,
this is when you
Jim,
ask me what I think of it. Oh,
well, no.
fucking
Is this
hell.
the first time you've seen this film?
Oh, yes, absolutely. First time I've ever seen this film. I was saying just before we started recording, like, I don't know how you managed to find these quirky films. And it is definitely, like you said, the algorithms are seeking you out, Jim, and suggesting these.
Normally, yeah, it is the algorithms, YouTube, or whoever suggested it to me. This one I actually tracked down myself.
Ah, okay. Because it's based on a comic book.
Yeah, so it's based on Japanese manga. So the manga was by a guy. Oh, hang on. I actually dug out. So I've got a few volumes with the mangas, right? They released like 30 of these things, right? I bought the first 4. I really dug it, but it was around about the same time as I had kids. So then my disposable income disappeared. So I've read the first 4 volumes, and I think in these volumes there are about 30 odd of them. So, you know, I enjoyed it enough, but again, kids, no free time or whatever, so I stopped buying it. But the main reason that I kind of picked it up was because of the director. So the director, let me try to say his name again. Nobuhiko Obayashi. I'm just going to say Obayashi.
Beautiful.
Because I think I can manage Obayashi. So Obayashi is best known in the West for his 1977 movie House, aka Hausu, which was released on DVD by Eureka, again, probably about 10, 12 years ago. And again, it was Eureka kind of pushing this batshit crazy Japanese movie, which, I'm saying this quite a bit now, Sam Raimi must have seen. And I think he is actually being interviewed. He has been interviewed, and he says, "Yeah, I dig that film because there are some crazy, like moving cameras, like pushing, tilting, zooming in at the same time kind of camera moves, which are very Evil Dead 1." So they released it. It did really big over here, and everybody was like, you know, if you go on Facebook horror groups or whatever, and you go, "Oh, I fancy something really crazy, guys," somebody is bound to recommend this film. Now, what's weird is, I had a look at his IMDb after seeing that, and like none of his other stuff really has been released in the West.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying Hausu is his crazy shit. That's nowhere near as crazy as some of the other stuff I found. And I thought this was a good kind of mix of stuff, which again hasn't actually been released on Blu-ray over here. So that's why I came up with this one. This was me seeking it out and finding it. Now, what I'll say about the adaptation of the manga, and this is based on me only reading the first 4 bits, is this is a hell of a lot darker. What they've done with the movie of Drifting Classroom is they seem to have kind of tried to make it into more of a kids film. But in the same way that Boy God is a kids film, because there's some weird shit in it as well. And when Jim hinted at the fact that he'd just seen it, he's you know, a little bit speechless. Is that right, Jim?
It was quite awkward at times. There's some of these real dark undertones going. It felt like a glossy High School Musical in this weird David Lynch kind of world with these very perverse, dark pedo undertones. Like there's some weird stuff. Really unsettling. Nothing blatant, but just feels a bit odd. Like with the teacher and, I mean, the girl, I forgot her name now, who becomes the mother of them all. I thought she was a student at first, but I think she's a teacher.
Oh, she's a very young teacher.
Yeah, a very, very young teacher. And at first, and as I did, I thought there was a pupil, and they had this weird connection, a lot of long pauses, just like he's just
there's like
Caucasian teacher just watching her and just looking at her.
Which, as far as I can tell, is not in here at all. So that's been added in either by the scriptwriter or by the director.
Yeah.
So again, that's not really in this. The comic book that I've read so far. So again, this is based on the fact I've only read, you know, maybe a quarter of it at most, if that. Is pretty much just about the nightmare. It's Lord of the Flies set in like this weird Lovecraftian dimension that these kids are transported to, which is cool. I mean, that is literally how it was described to me, and I was like, I will buy that. So when I found out there was a movie, I was very excited. And then in the first 10 minutes, when there's a musical number, when they get all excited about their young teacher getting married, I was just like, oh, this is quite different. This is not quite what I remember from the comic book at the time. I mean, it appears really big budget. I know some of the effects are quite ropey, but in terms of the set, obviously they did build a massive school set, you know, which then they covered half in sand and all of this kind of stuff. It felt like late 80s Spielberg, like, you know, round about Hook. You know, he was going for that weird tonal kind of shift where it was like an international cast, and again, in the comic, in the manga, it's just a Japanese school, you know. So why I think they were trying to branch out and hopefully try to sell this to an international
sell to the West.
Yes. That musical number, which is just bizarre, where they, you know, get all excited about their teacher getting married, and then at the same time triggers this weird apocalyptic shift or the time slip, which again everybody seems to just accept as, oh yeah, a time slip. That's something that happens.
It was they did seem at times I felt it's just gonna be like a musical, and then they kind of did one number, and I was there. It's like, so this is not a musical then. That's
the big thing. I think that's the reason people think Hausu is so batshit crazy, is because it's a haunted house movie with a bunch of schoolgirls in, which just breaks out into like
Mm.
Japanese pop from the 60s, that kind of sound.
Mm.
So I think that's why people go, they're not expecting that from their, you know, Japanese horror, these these pop musical numbers. And again, I think it's the same thing here, especially for me as, you know, a Western audience in the 21st century. Not what I was expecting. You know what? I kind of dug it. I like being surprised. I like these weird experiments which don't quite work. You know, we've all seen haunted house movies which do the exact same beats time and time again. And yeah, sometimes they can be really effective, and yeah, that's great. I like that. But I like the weird shit which doesn't quite work, but God bless them for trying.
Yeah.
I don't agree.
I mean, overall, as a film, I didn't really enjoy it, only because there wasn't a real, like, the acting was just terrible. The casting was not good at all. The jock who just wants his big game. I mean, he was just not a jock.
Big game today.
Yeah, I saw my big game, and I just walk around with a fucking football kicking it. So
again, I don't know if the jock thing really translates to Japan. I mean,
yeah, but
I'll give you the acting. I mean, let's talk about the acting then. It isn't good. It's not good at all. And I don't know whether it's an international cast working with a Japanese director and whether he didn't speak English, and so, you know, they are working through translators.
Yeah,
and on top of the fact, kid actors, and we've worked.
Which that kid who played Mark, that was his first and only film he did, was this one. Yeah. I mean, so that's telling. So the casting process, I don't know how the hell that happened. It almost felt like there was like a local actors workshop with kids who were from the West, and he just thought, yeah, these will do, like, and just threw them all in.
You know what? Probably. I kind of agree with that. The one thing I would say is, you know what, if they just kept it in the Japanese language and put subtitles on, we probably wouldn't have picked up on the acting being so bad. I think it's very rare that I'll watch a film in subtitles and I'll go, oh man, the acting is terrible in that. You know, it's got to be really big.
Yeah.
You can get away with a lot when it's in a language you don't understand and you're just reading it. I think, when it turns into English, or, you know, anytime they dub a film, you know, it sounds cheesy as fuck, doesn't it? You know, I mean, we grew up in the 80s with really bad dubs of, like, you know, Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan movies sounding fucking terrible. So
definitely,
I got to put it down to a language barrier kind of thing, and working with kid actors, which so no, absolutely 100%. The acting in this really lets down the film, like, across the board.
Yeah, and it just, a lot of the scenes just felt disconnected. It didn't feel like a complete film. It was just, the overall what's happening, you know, classroom disappears in a time slip, fair enough, but then just a lot of things just didn't make sense. So it was a bit of a nightmare to follow. Yeah, I think if you're a film fan and you're into film, I think you must watch this just to watch something so fucking mental. If you're like a general consumer of film, I think it would just piss you off and just get you a bit annoyed.
Face it, that's not our target audience, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking about Blu-ray collectors, I mean, which is the guys we're talking about. I think people are going to lose their shit over this film. And again, I think you've got two potential audiences. You've got the people who dug Hausu, and who do track down weird Japanese movies. And then you've got the manga audience as well. And if anything, the manga audience are going to dig this because it's so different from the original manga. So that's why...
You think they get pissed off because it's so different? I mean, I've not read...
Yeah, I think they'll get pissed off.
But just out of curiosity then, You
know, it's not like it's a current film. I mean, you know, are you really going to get pissed off about a film that is, you know, like 33 years old? I mean, it's time to move on, guys.
I'm outraged.
You know,
where's my time?
Hop back in your time machine and go kill, you know, whoever like commissioned this film. It's okay, guys. It was 33 years ago. Just be grateful that you've got what you've got, to be honest.
Yeah. I will say that I quite enjoyed the matte painting backgrounds. It kind of Hitchcock-esque, wasn't it? Very Alfred Hitchcock. It really felt...
I mean, the green screen didn't quite work.
No, it didn't work,
But I mean, and again, they tried loads of effect. They had those giant monsters. They had, like, the little weird E.T.'s inbred cousin kind of thing.
Yeah, like puppeteering and...
Again, there were all these different effects and everything like this, and they tried it all. Some of it successfully, most of it maybe not. If you're gonna, you know, lose yourself in the magic of the movies or whatever. But yeah, it was weird enough that, and there were so many things where, like, you know, everybody just accepting, oh, it's a time slip. I'm like, what? Is that a thing? Do people
just Yeah.
like the kids just go, "Oh, it must have been a time slip," and it was like,
Yeah, they seem to take it very well. Like the kids were just like, yeah, I'm not gonna see my parents ever again or my family. Yeah, well,
and I
it's
think
a bit shit.
that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, I was hoping it would head more Lord of the Flies and get dark as fuck, which, from what I understand, the manga goes dark as fuck. Like in terms of them turning on themselves and all that kind of shit. I was hoping for more of that. It is a 90-minute film, or so didn't have as much scope to do all of that. But I would have liked to have seen a bit more of the the wear and tear on their psyches as they're going mental. But what they did do was like tonally so weird, but I was on board with it still,
Yeah. I mean,
and then should we go on about like almost the last line of the film, which this is the bit where I kind of agree with Jim, where I'm really?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. So there's a handful of the kids left. Spoilers. Handful of the kids actually survived till the end of the film. And I think obviously it's supposed to have taken place over years. They're talking about all these time things where, we only left this morning, but they come back and it was months later or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's a bit where they're in, like they're sewn up new uniforms that they've made themselves. I think they're supposed to be older, but it doesn't look it. And the lead girl, turns to the lead boy and says,
"I want to have your baby soon."
I was just like, the first time I watched that, I had to rewind it to make sure that is actually what he said. And yes, it was. And that is the bit where, again, kind of weird. I don't know whether again, they got that.
Well, mate,
maybe they got it from the manga, and maybe, obviously, the manga was over 28 or whatever. So,
well, I mean, even at the beginning of the film, where Shu, I don't know how old they're supposed to be, but they're kids, and he's pretty much naked, grabbing his mum's tits. That was a bit weird. And there was a bit where the girl who says that line at the end, I think she's washing her pants in the sink or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was I don't know what the fuck that was about. But she said keep it a secret. I don't know. I was like, this is weird.
I think it's weird because it's kids. I mean, again, if he was trying
it's weird
to
anyway, because I think
he's trying to go, all right, if adults were in this world, they'd want clean clothes and they would be thinking about this stuff. But the source material talks about it being a school, and now these kids are growing up. And I don't know, mate. What would you reckon? 13, 14 for these kids?
Yeah, roughly.
So, I mean, when I was 13, 14, mate, I had a hidden porn collection. Mum, don't watch this. So, I was thinking that shit when I was 13, 14.
Yeah.
As an adult, do I want to watch 13, 14-year-old kids talking about that? I don't know, mate. I enjoyed Good Boys. Have you seen that? The Apatow, Seth Rogen comedy with the...
No, I've not yet. No, that had a bit of controversy, didn't it?
It was.
No, I get it when it's done almost honestly, like with that Seth Rogen film, it's kids. Like, so as you watch it, you can remember being a kid, coming across these terms and visuals and like, you would, but when it's done in this way, you can tell it's an adult writing the script and writing the dialogue. It's not an honest take on an innocent.
I think it was done with total sincerity. I think it's something is lost in translation. You think, I'm sure the script was written in Japanese.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
And then translated. And I think, if we're going to hold up anybody and blame anybody, and I'm not going to pick on this guy, but I think it was the on-set translator or whoever translated the script, because to our ears, it didn't sound right. But I think the way it was delivered and, the actors and everything.
Quite clumsy.
It was clumsy, but I think they tried to do it in a sincere way. And I think that's one of the things with most of the films that we've put out, is none of these are like cynical cash grabs. These are all made by people who actually believe in the material they're making. Back to Charles McGran and Toxic Zombies. Everything he wrote in that wasn't a slight in joke or anything like that. He 100%
genuinely wanted to make. Yeah.
And I think the same with this. I think unfortunately it just sounded. It doesn't quite sit well with us tonally from a translation point of view. Is what I think. I might be totally wrong, but that was what I kind of read into it anyway.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, it didn't feel. I mean, next week's film is a bit more blatant in its perverse nature, but this wasn't. It just, it was just uncomfortable at times.
Yeah,
possibly, like you said, lost in translation.
I think so. I think so.
Trying to have an honest, story of this crazy world where kids are suddenly in a time slip, like kind of Lord of the Flies, whatever else. So it's a difficult one to navigate around, I think. But I don't think, I don't know much about the filmmaker, what's his name?
Obayashi.
I don't know much about him, so I don't know what he's like as a filmmaker. I felt like this idea story was a bit out of his depth. I think possibly, and I think perhaps a better filmmaker with a more elaborate vision and able to execute that would have had a better done a better job. It probably would have been a better film.
So that I agree, mate. I think tonally the film would benefit if it was one thing or the other. If he stuck with the Spielberg's kids film, great. Or if you went more of the dark route, great. I think the problem is he tried to do both, and that's why you end up with this really uneven film. Which, to be honest, like I say, I like weird failed experiments because it's something different.
Yeah.
My brains are firing differently when they're watching shit, which I'm not used to. So I dug it, but as an overall satisfying film, absolutely agree, mate. Definitely, yeah.
Cool. All right, mate.
All righty then. So, Jimothy, what do you reckon? Who is the best DVD label that we should harangue into releasing this bad boy for us?
I chose one, Vinegar Syndrome. They got a few quirky ones on there, like Tammy T-Rex.
Cool.
I love this film. It's Hell Comes to Frogtown, which is a brilliant film. Yeah.
Was
so kind of weird.
I think Arrow put that out.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's a bit of a difficult one to pick. I mean, I'm not into the manga thing and all that. So So this Vinegar Syndrome, I think, would be a good home for this kind of quirky madness.
Yeah, cool. We'll hit those bad boys up. Yeah. That's what, cool. Okay, I'm going with Eureka because they put out the earlier film Hausu. And I think, to be honest, that's overdue a really good Blu-ray release. So, a box set from Eureka with some of his other films as well, I think would be really cool. And like I said earlier, I think the mix of people who dug Hausu, because it is a little cult film, which you're like, oh, you like the weird shit, do you? So, a box set of that great. And the manga audience as well, I think, would make it quite a good little buy for him there. So I think, nice Obayashi box set from Eureka. Perfect.
Magnifique.
Right, so, tricky one here for you, mate. If you dug this film and you wanted people to continue on that crazy ride, what else would you give them?
Well, I'm the worst person to ask this question. So I don't know a lot about the manga world. So you would have to delve into that. And I'm sure Jim's gonna, throw those your way. If you're kind of not seasoned in manga and you want something a bit similar, I suggest watching things like Wizard of Oz, whilst also watching Flight of the Navigator at the same time.
Nice.
A real sense of home, homesickness and trying to find your way home. That kind of feel.
So time as well, wasn't it? Flight of
yeah. So definitely those kind of films I'd watch. Purely a Western side, and maybe High School Musical, just because of the singing and dancing. But
I mean,
maybe watch them all at this. Watch them all at the same time. You might get the same feel for Drifting Classroom.
Nice. Good call on Flight of the Navigator, mate. I think absolutely right. I think it's that weird thing where kids are actually confronted with something way too adult, like the idea that their parents have suddenly grown up and so no, like that, mate. Really, really cool.
Yeah.
I'm just going to cheat. I'm going to go with his other works. So again, if you guys can kind of track these down, absolutely. He's put together loads of films. Obviously, Hausu being the one that's easy to kind of get in this country. But if you can check out Visitor in the Eye, so that's another one where he's adapted a manga. Visitor in the Eye was quite a popular character called Blackjack. He's like this criminal mastermind / surgeon. As you do. And he did an adaptation of that film. A lot of fun. Again, totally a bit weird. Kind of kids film-esque. But also just batshit crazy at the same time.
Cool.
The other one he did was School in the Crosshairs, which is kind of like psychic schoolgirl battles it out with somebody else who turns up on campus and has powers as well. So that's a fun one. And then The Little Girl Who Conquered Time, which is a time traveling schoolgirl and the japes that she gets in try and do time travel. And again, it's kind of similar to The Butterfly Effect, where every time she changes time, something else happens, and then she has to go back, and it's that repetitive.
Yeah,
kind of
messes
thing.
stuff up. Yeah.
Again, not quite as dark as Butterfly Effect, which also I recommend.
Yeah.
This is a good film, but not really
Yeah,
related.
yeah. Actually, that's a good call. Yeah, Butterfly Effect. Yeah.
So yeah, try track down his other films, and I'll say to Eureka, put out the box set, guys. I mean, the copies I saw online looked amazing. They were at least DVD quality, if not better. So yeah.
Cool.
So those are the bad boys. All right, guys. So if you've seen the motion picture, The Drifting Classroom, or if you've read the manga, drop us in the comments. Let us know. If you've finished reading Drifting Classroom, let us know whether it ends up quite similar in territory to the film.
Yeah.
As far as I could tell, it wasn't going to happen, but who knows? If you've got any recommendations for us of movies to check out, whether related to Drifting Classroom or not, let us know in the comments. And Jimothy, take us on home.
Yes, yeah. So if you like this video, then please hit the like button. If you've been enjoying the Mad Science content, then why not subscribe to our channel and follow us on Facebook. If you have any comments or suggestions, then leave those in the comment section down below. Thank you and goodbye.
Smooth.